Hey everyone. All right, today is January 26th. I am about to take you into the embarrassingly dirty world of our greenhouse. This is what urban farming looks like in January during a pandemic. So we have a beautiful South Jersey winter day happening outside. We have our 2 towers that we broke down, but we're gonna plant seeds for today in the grow cube. So we've talked about that before. Our thermometer over there says 63 degrees, so it's not too cold. Again, I'm not intimidated by the mess. It's okay, I'm only one person. I do what I can during virtual learning, hybrid learning, whatever we're calling this. So these are the plants that are surviving in the greenhouse in the winter with lots of neglect. Cactus love it, aloe loves it. They are perfectly fine and happy to be 100% neglected on a daily basis. So today, what we're gonna talk about is starting seeds, okay? There are a couple things that are incredibly important, and again, don't mind the mess, don't look around. This will be all cleaned up by the next time you see this. So there's a couple things that we have that are 100% necessary for starting seeds. Up here we have our lights. You need to have LED grow lights. There is no substitute for these lights, and we're super fortunate. As much as I complain about how dirty this greenhouse is, we are so fortunate to have this greenhouse because in a couple of months this is going to be full. This will be full of seedlings to go out into our gardens. In the past, we have had extras to donate to other local farms. We have had plant sales for the teachers and custodians and staff. So we sell all of the extra tomatoes and peppers and things that we grow. Not sure if we're gonna have a lot extra this year. Last year I got, it all happened. Everything, the shutdown all happened when we were right in the middle of all this. So curious to see how this year goes, but we will keep on going. So number one thing that we have are these lights. So again, they have these beautiful grow lights that we have. There are 4 bulbs in there. They can be put on a timer. I don't have a timer on in the greenhouse, but the one in the classroom we do. I've been reading and I'm thinking we're gonna try something a little bit different this year. I've been reading 24 hours of light for the seedlings is a good thing. So we will see how that goes. Second thing you need are seeds. So, and I have lots more seeds that came in this year. These are my seed trays. They are fairly organized. I need to go back in and organize them again. I go through them regularly to make sure that, there's none that are in there that are really old. The older the seeds get, the lower the germination rate. But again, seeds can sprout years and years later. So I don't really concern myself too much with that. All the different types and varieties of all the vegetables that we have planted throughout the years. So seeds, again, every seed looks a little bit different. You guys are probably familiar with things like pumpkin seeds and cucumber seeds, tomato seeds, because they're in the foods that you eat. Different seeds have different characteristics. Some seeds are teeny tiny like carrots. Some seeds are enormous and obvious, like things like peas and beans. But at the end of the day, inside of every seed is everything that a growing, emerging plant needs. So it's got the embryo, it has a food source. There's sort of like this little ball of magic is kind of what I tend to think of seeds as. Get a little philosophical, there's all this life right in these packets of seeds. These right here, these black with the green, and these are heat mats. So what heating mats are good for is it keeps the soil warm. So during the day, we're looking at it's probably 11 o'clock, 11:15, it's 63 degrees in here. At night, it's gonna get a lot cooler. So if we can give the babies, because it is a nursery that we have, we'll have going on once we plant these seeds. If we can give them heat from the bottom to warm up their roots, just like they would outside in the sun, then it'll give them that much of a jump start. We also need soil. So we are not planting these hydroponically. These are all gonna go outside. So these are all gonna get planted in soil. I'm not getting paid by the company, I promise. This is one of my favorite growing mediums for seeds. This is the company that we order the majority of our seeds from for the school. They do purchase orders for the school, so that's why we use them. And we can pretty much get anything we want any time of year, which is really helpful for us. So we have this organic mix. I am an enormous fan of, especially as seedlings, using an organic mix. Anything we can use with compost that's based with compost, we can add some of our own compost in. We make our worm compost. We can add that in. I do have a bag of Miracle-Gro potting mix. I like the usually for seedlings we like to use soilless, just because it's lighter. It says on the bag, blended from mature compost, sphagnum, peat moss, fish meal, and perlite. So there's no actual soil in our potting mix, which seedlings are very light, they're very finicky, and they need to be able to grow rapidly and have constant food. And that's what this seedling mix is giving us. Potting soil is something entirely different that you would plant larger plants in. So we have lights, we have seeds, we have the heating mats, and we have the soilless mix. And we have a source of water. So that's about it. It's really all we need. We need to also make sure that we plant them at the right times during the year. We're not gonna plant the tomatoes yet. They get big and bulky, and they take up a lot of space. So we're gonna wait on them a little bit. We're gonna start our onions and our leeks. Not exciting, they're not flashy, but they are incredibly important. And if you cook, I know I cannot possibly grow the number of onions that I cook with. I don't even come close. I grow about 2 months worth of onions. I need to figure out how to grow a whole lot more than that. So we are gonna get this place cleaned up. We're gonna plant some seeds, and I'm gonna show you the end result. All right, good morning, everybody. So we are gonna talk seeds today. I apologize for my camera angles. I don't have anybody to help me hold the camera, so we're just gonna go with this. So for those of you who aren't gonna be in the building, I'm gonna kind of go through some of these steps with you on how we plant seeds. Most people think, and it is very simple, there isn't a lot of thought behind this, but there are some things that we need. So we talked about it a little bit, and I introduced some of the things. So a couple things we need. So smaller pots. These are cell packs. They're 6-packs. They are plastic. I do not intentionally go out of my way to look for plastic. It would be nice if we could have some different things, but we can grow a lot of seeds in a small area with these guys. So this is pretty much what we use to start the seeds. We also have these trays that the cell packs fit in perfectly. And then I have a couple other things for when we're all finished. So when we're talking about seeds, remember we said with the seedling mix, I never use gloves. You can't feel anything without the gloves. And I'm super spoiled that we have this greenhouse that we can pretty much make a mess in, and nobody else has to clean it up but me, so I don't worry about making a mess. So this, we talked about the seedling mix. So this is this beautiful light mix. What you do is you fill these totally full, and you don't pack them down. You're gonna see there's some different stuff in here. There's a little stick in here. Sometimes there's some clumps. I just remove those. Anything that will hinder the seed from being able to germinate. Some of these guys are really, really little, and some of them are delicate. Some of them are very tough. It kind of all depends on the variety. So what you do is you take this, you take your little 6-packs, and you just fill them with dirt. No pushing it down. You want airspace for your seeds, because seeds need water, and they need a steady medium, and they need space to grow. They actually really don't need light, which is funny because you always think of plants needing light. The seeds themselves are underground, so they don't need light to germinate. But they do need the oxygen in the spaces between the soil. So that's something you really want to concern yourself with. So I never pack down. You just go straight across the top. And then, so now we're talking about different types of seeds. So it's the end of January. Now is a great time to plant our onions. And like I said, onions grow great from seed. I've had the best luck with onions from seed instead of onions from bulbs. And then we also start leeks this early in the year. I did grab yesterday, I grabbed a couple of herb seeds that I wanted to get. The thyme, we used to have beautiful thyme in our garden, and with the renovations, it pretty much got destroyed. So we're gonna try growing these from seed. And I have some chives. I think we lost the chives too. Chives are a great one to grow from seed. And I also grabbed some lavender. So every year I try and experiment with a couple different new types of seeds. We have beautiful lavender in the garden. Lavender loves to be neglected. It is a little tricky to grow from seed, but it's also very expensive to grow plants. So we're gonna try some lavender. This is one, and it even says it on the back of this package. Some seeds like to be treated a little bit differently. If you look at, even in nature, this happens. Some seeds like to go through the digestive system of an animal before they will germinate. Elephants are actually really great at spreading seeds because it goes through their system and then they get rid of it right in their natural fertilizer and things grow. This one actually likes a moist cold treatment, which what we'll do is we'll take these seeds, we'll wrap them in a little wet paper towel, and we'll put them in the fridge for a couple days. I think it depends on the different types of seeds. Some seeds like to be almost nicked with like a nail file or a knife. So that's just, really, it's just how much experience do you have with dealing with these. These guys don't really need anything. So when you go to plant seeds, there are a ton of seeds in each packet. And it's the beauty of planting from seeds. You can get so much in just a small amount of money. And since we're a school, a lot of times we'll have companies just donate seeds to us, which is wonderful, and we really appreciate that every single time. So when you look at seeds, seeds look very different. Some seeds are really big, like think like a coconut. Some seeds are very, very tiny. Like I said with the carrots, carrots are actually really hard to plant. I wish I had taken a picture of one of my students, not last year, the year before, just decided, oh, let's plant some carrots and sprinkled them out, and we had millions of carrots, but they never got big because they were all so tightly packed. So when you want to plant seeds inside, what you want to do is you have to figure out how deep you're going to plant them. So this is what we're talking about as far as size-wise goes on these little guys. You can't even see it between my fingers. So usually rule of thumb is you want to plant them 3 times as deep as their width. Again, it's not a perfect science. There is nothing perfect about what I do in the greenhouse. So I kind of estimate, and if you guys were here and we were planting a lot of these, I would actually make a line on this. So I tend to use this super handy dandy color pencil that nobody likes, peach or white. So I always steal the peach and the white color pencils. And I just use this, and I basically go and I make a hole in each of the cells. But because we are gonna grow so many of these, and it would be a super waste to just put one seed in each of these cells, I'm gonna do, and again, this is just from experience, I'm gonna take these guys and I'm gonna put 4 or 5 individual holes in each of the cells. So what'll happen is, it'll give the seed room to germinate, it'll give it the space that it needs, but it also saves us on space as well. I actually feel that there's a big clump in there, so I'm gonna undo that. And again, if you do this part right and you take the time to do this correctly, it makes all the difference in the world. I tend to find seed planting is very meditative. You're just kind of doing the same thing over and over and over again. But it's also why I tend to label things, because sometimes when you do the same job over and over and over again, you start to make mistakes. So all I'm doing is going through here. There's another clump. I'm going through here and just making individual little spots for these seeds. I'm not going very deep. Again, 3 times the width of that seed,
So fairly shallow, because these are small seeds, and it'll give it the best opportunity. Now, this is where those of you who have nails, this is why I don't wear gloves. Those of you who have big fake nails, it's actually really, really hard to do this. So you go 1 seed per opening, which is different from the hydroponics. From the hydroponics, we usually put 3, sometimes more, seeds per block. With this, we're only gonna do 1 because the plants are different. This is, each seed is going to grow an onion. And if you think about, you know, if you start with a seed this small and you're gonna end up with an onion that hopefully will be 2 to 3 inches wide, you have to really space your plants very well. So we have to have individual plants. If you tried to pour in 3 seeds into 1 little hole, the plants will compete for space and you won't get as much, and every plant will not do as well. So what'll happen is within the competition between the plants, none of them will do that well. Each one will be stunted. So you want to give each seed as much of a chance as you can to be successful. All right, so that was 1 cell, and we have done in years past, sometimes I get ahead of myself and I plant trays and trays and trays of onions, and we end up having to give them all away because for whatever reason, some people don't like to plant onions. I don't know why. I use onions almost every single day. So that's all done. Seeds are all in their spots in their little tray. This is a trick that I learned a while ago. This is what we call vermiculite. So if you can see this, it's really, really light. It's almost gold colored. And it's so light, it will absorb some water. It will allow some light in. But what it does is it gives the seed that really light space to be able to grow its leaves up through. Again, anything you can do to make this process easier for the seed to start. We really don't want to stress them at this point in their lives because we're going to stress them later when we put them in the garden. So we really are treating these guys like babies. We want to give them everything they possibly need right now, and we want to make it as easy as possible for them to start growing. So we're going to cover those real lightly. All I did was just cover the tops. And this is just a trick I've learned over the years that it helps them, really is what we do. So we're not going to push too hard, just a little bit of light contact right on soil. Basically what you're doing is you're just giving the seed the chance to make contact with the soil, and then we're going to water them. Now, watering, I tend to find, is my students' biggest challenge, I guess. So we have, and again, I know how spoiled I am having all of this right here in the greenhouse, but we have water right here. But what we have is water that's under super high pressure. So we have to really be careful. I could just blow the soil right out of here just with a little shot of the water. So we really want to be careful. Again, it's just all practice. You know, most students get it eventually. So you have these different settings on the hose, and most people don't ever change their settings. There is a mist setting, which would be lovely if that would get deep enough into the soil to make a difference, but it doesn't. When you use the mist setting, all you're doing is barely dampening the top of the soil, so it looks damp to you. It's not damp enough for the seed. So again, you really just want to very gently, you don't want to dislodge anything. You don't want to move those seeds around. You just want to give them that little shot of water and then just let it drain. And some of the things that people forget with plants, the holes in the bottom of the pots are very, very, very important. Plants need oxygen to their roots. They don't like to sit around in water. You can drown plants very easily. And it sounds funny, and everybody's like, what do you mean drown a plant? When the roots of the plants are sitting in water, they can't get the oxygen they need, so they literally drown in the water that you've given them. All right, so we're just gonna give them another little shot of water. And then what's gonna happen is I'm only gonna do 1 just because I wanted to show you guys what we did. So there we go, we're all planted. And then next step is we label. We label every single 6-pack because 1 year, someone came in and switched up all of my tomatoes and my peppers. So I had no idea which were hot peppers, which were sweet peppers, which were jalapenos, which were, you know, the different types of tomatoes that we planted. And you can't tell until that plant blooms and actually creates a fruit that, what type of plant that is. So every single 6-pack gets a label. You always put the type of plant and the date that we planted it. Some people add other notes onto their labels. I don't really necessarily see the point in that as far as we're concerned. So these are yellow onions. And today is 128. And then there you go. We just stick the label right there on the edge. So now they're all ready to go. And later on today, my students are going to keep planting these. So this tray will be full. So I'm going to show you what we're going to do next. So this cover right here is super important. Basically what we're doing is creating this little mini greenhouse, okay? So we're keeping in the moisture. And again, it is exactly like how we would treat babies. We keep them warm, we keep them well fed, we give them everything that they need. And I know I showed you these, but this is a heat map. Again, super important for the baby plants. It is currently 56 degrees in the greenhouse. At 56 degrees, very few seeds will actually germinate. So we need to up the temperature underneath them, warms up the soil, gives them the chance to germinate in a nice happy little setting so they don't have to work very hard. The minute that they germinate, so the second we see anything green coming from these cell packs, we take this off and we get them right underneath the lights. And by underneath the lights, I mean here's the plant, here's the light. We want them right there. So again, the plants don't have to work very hard. That's kind of the goal here. All right. So hopefully I covered everything. I don't think there's anything I forgot. And then now it's just a sitting and waiting game. All right, guys.